Hey everyone, I'm a little bit early. I just wanted to get the live going to make sure I have everything lined up and make sure that you can all hear me. And Martinette, I see you're on. Are you able to hear me okay? Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? Hi Chris, hi Tina, Sharon. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay? Okay, thank you. All right, then let's get started. Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on our second North Carolina demo stamp along. And again, thanks to Martinette for her organization and for everyone who is participating today. It's going to be a fun day. It's really hot outside, so it's a nice day to stay in and just watch videos and stamp with everybody. So let's go ahead and get started. I don't want to go over my allotted time. But what we're going to do today is make a card that can actually be used as a gift card holder, or it can just be a simple card. It doesn't have to have the gift card holder part of it. And I'm going to slide the belly band off here. And I'm using the, well, as I put in my notes, the Celebrate Sunflowers bundle. I love this bundle. It's just so much fun. And this is an open card that has a different type of a fold. So I'm hoping you can see the kind of mountain and valley folds it has here in the center. So it can sit up and be open and show the center sentiment. And then you add this little piece on the side for putting in your gift card if you want to make it a gift card holder. So I'm going to make the card as a gift card holder, and then I'm going to show you a sample that I made of making it just a card. I just had to grab a drink of water. I feel like I'm already dry. So let's move this out of the side, off to the side. And I actually made my papers a little different for what I'm going to make today. I reversed my DSP. So I'm going to use the pretty detailed flower DSP for my side panels, and I'm going to use the blue speckled for the inside of my sunflower. So, you know, we have a lot of versatility with our DSP, and sometimes it's hard to decide which side to use because it's all so pretty. So I mentioned yesterday in my intro demo that it would help if you had this part prepared ahead of time, just because it's a little time consuming. But I went ahead and I got my sunflower ready to assemble. So I stamped my leaves in Just Jade on Just Jade cardstock. And you can't really tell in the detail, but I did use one of the patterns, the Just Jade patterns out of the DSP pack. But it's really hard to see. But I did use our adhesive sheets. And if you haven't tried them yet, oh my gosh, they're a game changer for me anyway. Especially when you've got these really fine detailed layers to put on. So I've already cut it out, and I just have to find a place to peel here. Sure, she says. There you go. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and layer that over top of my leaf, and just like that, it's done. I don't have to worry about wet glue, which is not really my friend. I try to be very light-handed when I use it, but it just doesn't always perform well with me. I do love it. I love it for doing layers and things because it gives you that chance to reposition a little bit before it actually sticks for good. But when I'm doing these little detail things, it just does my head in. And we all know we don't need to be frustrated while we're doing our projects. That's the last thing we want. So I'm sure everybody has found some ways to make it easier for layering on the detail over the sunflower base. And I can't say that I really have anything specific, but what I do is I try to look for that part on the top. To me, it reminds me a little bit of a shark fin. It kind of sticks out there like a shark fin. And that's where I try to line up when I'm mounting the detail. So I have found that piece, my shark fin at the top. So I'm going to turn this over, and again, I used the adhesive sheets. Yes, Martinette, these are, the adhesive sheets are absolutely, in my opinion, a necessity if we're doing the detail dies. Okay, so now I just have to turn this back over and line myself up again. But I just kind of start at the top and kind of get that in place and give it a little press, and then just come all the way down here. And it's pretty, no, I'm actually pretty happy with how that turned out. So, and I've got my center, and I'm actually going to use our Stamp and Seal Plus. I find it just gives it a little bit more staying power. So I'll just pop that in the center. And then for my leaves, I think I'm just going to offset them a little bit over on the side. So then I'm just going to run a little bit of tape over here. And again, wet glue would work for this if you're a fan of that, but I just find the Stamp and Seal works just as well. So there are my leaves. And then this little sprig, I went ahead and put some Wink of Stella on it. That is probably one of my favorite embellishments. I don't know what I'll do if we ever stop carrying that in the catalog. It will break my heart for sure, because it just adds that little bit of extra bling without it being too overwhelming. So that is our sunflower for the card we're going to do today. So I'm going to set that off to the side and clean up my mess as I go, which is not something I normally do, but I will today. So yes, I agree, Rob, and I'm glad they brought the sheets back too. Although full disclosure, I have a ton of the Sizzix still, and I do still pull from that, but for any class work, I do use our sheets. But I just think it's an amazing product. So our base, as I said, I sent the measurements out. So our base is 11 by 4 1/4, and we scored it at 2 3/4, 5 1/2, and 8 1/4. And it is going to be part gate card. And find my bone folder. So I'm just going to give a good crease. And then you're going to take that center part and you're going to make that the mountain fold. Okay. Now, when you go to recreate this again, you can certainly put DSP in here to dress it up a little bit more. I did that on the second card I made, so I'll show you how that looks. But I'm going to leave it blank just for quickness today so that we can make sure we finish the card on time. And then my panels, again, your measurements for the solid color cardstock. It was Misty Moonlight, 4 inches by 2 1/2. And then the DSP was 2 1/4 by 3 3/4. So we'll go ahead and get that mounted. Again, I have a really hard time trying to decide size of paper to use anymore, which I guess is not a bad thing. It just makes me buy more DSP. And I'll go ahead and mount the second panel. Well, I guess that does kind of have directional flowers. Sometimes I don't pay attention. Well, most of the time I don't pay attention. Just stamping and adhering, and then I'll look at something and go, oh, that had a pattern to it. No, it's upside down. And I would guess that I'm probably not alone. Make this a little bit easier for me to line up. I'm excited to see what everybody's going to be doing today. I hope to be able to stamp along with some of you, but it's great knowing that we can come back and do this when we can do it uninterrupted. I've got a piece of okay, so there's our outside panels. Okay, and then we have a strip of 11 by 3/4 inches. Now you can adjust the width of this. When I first did this card, and I think I mentioned I actually had gone to a stamp or scrapbook convention, and they had make and takes available. And the card that I made, the belly band, was actually 1/2 inch, and I just liked it to be a little bit more substantial, since you're going to be handling it. So I made it 3/4 inch, and I'm going to pull my Bumblebee ink and the double flowers, double leaves from the set. You can certainly leave the belly band plain, but I just decided I wanted to add a little bit of a feature to it here, so just quickly stamp my leaves. And I don't try to measure for the scoring part of this, and what I mean by that is how to score to wrap it around. I think it works best for me anyway, to just kind of fold it. And what I do try to do is to kind of start it off to the side of this panel here, and it helps to make it be even on the other side, if that makes sense. Sometimes I've wrapped them and my center comes way over here, which is generally okay because you're putting something over the center of it anyway. It just, you have to make sure you're putting your position, your focal point in the right spot. So I'll come back and get my sunflower, and let's see. All right, so I'm just going to throw some dimensionals in here. And I think I'll just put a few horizontally. Trish, you're right. Yeah, that's why I always have so much excess DSP in my stamp room, because I used to just buy a single pack, and anymore I've doubled up on them. Okay, so I'll just place this here. Okay, so easy peasy so far. Got the outside done. That slides off pretty easily. So we'll set that band across. Now we're going to work on the inside. And I used the small sunflower stamp for my focal point for the inside of the card. And again, that's the panels for the inside. I used my DSP as a backing, as the first layer. You could use solid cardstock if you wanted. and that size is 2 7/8 by 2 7/8, and then the Whisper White is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And I used our markers on the sunflower, and I have to tell you, it takes a little bit of time because, you know, there was a bit of detail here. So I colored the center in Bumblebee, and then the flower in Misty Moonlight. Yeah, got that right. And then, of course, the leaves in Just Jade. And I stamped it off because I wanted a lighter image for my focal point, because I wanted to stamp the sentiment over top of the stamped image. So what I chose to use is the Let's Celebrate You. Boy, my blocks are dirty. I've got to work on cleaning those up. So, and as you know, if you get a sentiment that you really like, but it's just not laid out the way you want it, you can still make it work for you. So I wanted to use the Let's Celebrate You. So what I'm going to do is use my basic black marker, and I'm just going to color in the Let's first, and I'll come up here and place that there, and then I will get my chamois, put my pen down before I poke myself with it, clean off where I have just colored, and then I'll come back and do the Celebrate You. Now I know there's some people who put a piece of washi tape over what they're trying to omit, and that would work just as well. Sometimes you can huff it just to... Okay, so I'll put the Let's Celebrate You a little bit over top there, and then you've got the sentiment that you want in the orientation that you want. I also did this prior to, where I stamped my image just a little bit darker, and then I put my sentiment above and below, and I actually think I like this one better right now. So we're going to set the other one aside, and I'm going to go ahead and mount that onto our DSP panel. I'm having a love-hate relationship with this new tape. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, so then we've got that mounted. Okay, now to make this pop up when you open the card, you've got two small strips. They're 1/2 inch wide and 2 inches long. Okay, and they're going to be folded in half, and you can certainly score this ahead of time if you want. I'm usually not that organized. I just kind of grab them and fold them. Okay, but I will give them a little bit of an extra fold here. Okay, and again, because this is going to be a moving part of the card, I'm going to use the Stampin' Seal Plus, and I'm just going to roll a piece over top of these. Again, this would be something you could do with the liquid glue. And then you want to flatten your card. You want to fold it, and then you're going to put in the center just before your crease there. Okay. Give it a good rub so that it's going to stick there. And then repeat on the other side. Yes, your fingers will stick to it just a tiny bit. Make sure they don't stick together. Oh, that's all I need. Okay. Then you're going to just press those down. And then your panel is going to be placed in the center there. Oh. And I just kind of line it up, make sure it's even, and then press that down. Okay, so that gives you the pop-up part of the card. When you open it, that's what stands up. Okay, very simple. And you can adjust what you're putting in here for the center as well, as long as it doesn't go past your side creases here. And if you do that, I would suggest that you expand or you lengthen the strips so that you've got, you know, the panel is steady. It's not going to flop around when you open up the card. Okay, so I'm going to set that part aside now, and we're going to go ahead and continue with the piece that will become the gift card holder. And I used some Bumblebee, and again, my measurements for this were 6 inches by 2.5, and then it was scored at 2.5 inches. And then my layer for the front is 2.25 by 2.25. Okay, and the sentiment that I'm going to use for this is part of the stamp set. Congratulations on reaching a whole new level of wonderful. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp that using my black memento. It's kind of hard trying to put your head over top and make sure you're centered here. Okay, move that out of the way. I'm not going to adhere that yet. Now you can simply fold this over and leave it as it is, which would just look, you know, like this. But I chose to just pull in a couple of random punches, and you can, you know, whatever you might have in your stash just to dress this up a bit. So I'm going to actually corner round the top of this. And then the other punch I'm going to use is, I just want to put a little notch in the top here. And I'm going to line up my layer to the top edge and just kind of hold it with my thumb. And I'm just going to, sure. Wow, that was a hard punch. That shot right behind me. So now I can slide this piece down and still have the same lineup that I wanted here. And then I will go ahead and put my sentiment on here. The new Stampin' Seal is a bit stickier than the Tombow for sure, just the regular Stampin' Seal. And again, because I want to make sure that this stays stuck with putting a gift card in here, I'm going to go back to the Stampin' Seal Plus, and you want to make this as close to the edge as possible so that you can squeeze a card or cash. I actually did a card, this style card, for a friend whose daughter just graduated high school and is awaiting her orders to go into the Air Force. So I did a little card with some scrapbook paper I found that had the Air Force, U.S. Air Force designs. Okay, and that's it. So now I'm just going to go ahead and apply this to the inside. Yeah. Trish, muscles. Sometimes you need them with these punches when you're doing more than one layer. Okay, so then I'm just going to stick that on the inside. And that is the completed card. Again, not too difficult, and it's just a little different. It can stand up, obviously, as I've shown you. And as I said, you can do it without the gift card portion of it. let me get this slid down here. Let's see how am I doing on time. Oh, 9:24. You know, it's so funny. I don't know if anyone's ever had this happen to them, or if it has it happened to them. So 9/24 happens to be my birthday, September 24th. And I will be sitting in the evening going through Facebook or looking at my emails or something. I'll pull up my phone and look, and it'll be 9:24. And sometimes it happens in the morning too. It's just the weirdest thing. And there's actually a name for that occurrence happening. It's like a special number that you keep seeing over and over and over again. So it's just the funniest thing. But anyway, so that's the finished card. And as I said, I did it a little differently, and I think I like my version today more than I like this one. Just switching the DSP around, I think just gives it a little different look. I like having the more solid background for the sunflower. Oh, and I did forget. I have to get my Wink of Stella here in the center and just kind of make that little center stand out. I tried this a couple times with putting some bling in the center. I tried some rhinestones, and then I tried some enamel dots, and I don't know, it just wasn't appealing to me, so I left them off. So those are the two cards using the DSP from that suite. And here's the second card. I wanted to make a version using the Whiskey. Oh, let me find that stamp set. Of course, I'm not going to have it handy. Whiskey Business, anyway. So this was the card I made. I used one of the new embossing folders, and I'm having a lot of fun with this set. But with taking the belly band off, and I think it's the Tasteful Touch paper. This I didn't use as a gift card holder. I just wanted it to be a greeting card. So I did put the DSP panels on the inside to make it look a little bit more finished. And I used one of the dies from, I did have all this stuff lined up here perfectly. I used one of the dies from the Tasteful Labels, and it was too big to actually fit in here. So I was going to try to kind of turn them at an angle, and I didn't like the way that looked. So I just chopped off the ends to make them fit. So again, there's a lot of versatility of what we can do with our dies. You don't have to stay in the lines, as people say, but this was the die I used for that. And then I just cut the edges to make them a little bit more straight and to fit what I needed for that particular card. So I have a friend who lives in England, and his birthday's in September, and he likes bourbon, so this will be his birthday card this year. But so there's a different version of it without the gift card part of it. So that is my demonstration for today, and I will put together a DSP, I'm sorry, a PDF, too many acronyms here, a PDF for it, including the pictures and the steps involved, and I'll share that on the page as well when I'm done. So thank you for watching. I'm glad I was the first one in, so I can now take a deep breath and just sit back and enjoy everyone else's presentation. I believe our next stamper is Sharon Verity, and I did have the list of the time. I swear I put everything out all ready to go, and somehow I think the cat gets in here and moves stuff around on me. Honestly, I do. But anyway, have fun the rest of the day. Thanks to everyone who is sharing their skills and their projects with us today, and looking forward to following along and seeing what everybody else is making. So thanks everyone. Have a great day.